Hello, Dr. Bendayan. Welcome to the International Dentist Podcast. It's a great honor to have you here with us today. I'm really looking forward for this conversation.
Thank you, Dr. LaGreca, for having me here today. An honor for me to be here today as well.
Thank you. I really want to start our conversation by asking you something I'm very curious about. Why did you choose the United States to develop your dental career?
Well, I think that's a very good question. At the point of time in my life in which I have to decide to get a postdoctoral education, a lot of the faculty members back in Venezuela, where I'm from, had actually conducted a lot of postdoctoral programs in the United States, specifically Dr. Jorge Medina, who was my professor in fixed prosthodontics, crown and bridge, who I worked with for a short period of time. Really noticed in me the abilities of really building and constructing, even though I was very attracted to the oral surgery side of things and I had good relationships there. He had really inspired me to really pursue an education. And from that point, thankfully, with the support of my family, I was able to really look at opportunities out there from Venezuela to get that education. And the United States was not an uncommon ground. I had been to the United States multiple times with my family. We had vacation there, and back in my high school and even before that, English education was common. So English was not going to be a language that was going to hard to tackle. So from that point, I made that decision, obviously, to come to the U.S.
Oh. And when did you have that aha moment that it was prosthodontics and not oral surgery?
Yes, that's a very good question. I have to say, at least in many other countries, education in dental school takes more than 4 years. That's the standard in the United States for a DMD program. In Venezuela, it's about 5 years. I went to Central University of Venezuela, which is still today a public school. The cost is reduced. But with that, obviously, some challenges about how unstable the country may have been over that process. So, thankfully, my class was the first class that was a yearly kind of schedule rather than semester or trimester. So it was a little bit more organized in that matter. But I tell you, I was always very good at the prosthodontics with my hands. I was really, really good at art and ceramics as I grew up. And I think that's what my family's taught me. And interesting enough, all my families are physicians, not a single dentist. I'm the only one. So here I am that I do sculptors. I did ceramic, the bases, painting, modeling. I did woodworking, painting. Like everything was good with my hands and my eyes. I do need loops and reading glasses right now because I got them older. But at that time with all that charm. So anyways, I get into dental school and I can see that I'm acing all the lectures and all the prosthodontic classes. But I got into oral surgery and started doing a lot of extractions. And for some reason, that family of oral surgeons is like a more close family in dentistry. So it kind of felt like, oh my God, this is a nice group of people. Maybe I should be another surgeon. I go to my externship, which is normally between 6 months to a year before you finish dental school, which is great because it's serving the population, but it also gives you that sense of really taking decisions of your own. You don't have a faculty to tell you what to do. You have to make the decision. Do you take the tooth out or not? But I did so many extractions. Sadly, that population, the care and the preventive is not that good. So I did so many extractions that I got so good at it that I felt like can do this in a heartbeat. Why wouldn't I? So I come back from my externship and all these other surgeons are like, Alex, you're going to stay here. Maybe you want to teach because I like teaching and all that. And then at that point, this is when I then finished my cases in fixed prosthodontics. And then I met Jorge. Jorge introduced me to other faculty, Dr. Koryev and Rosa Rusian, who then now started to see veneers and I started to see bridges. So I think the side of building and fixing got to my personality. I like to fix things. So that was the part that I say, maybe I want something in fixed prosthodontics.
That's such a nice story. I think that maybe when you came, if you have felt that you have all of those tools in your hands, that you will definitely succeed in the field. I wonder, do you struggle with anything or you felt challenged? What was your first challenge when you came to?
So, do you mean to the program Prosthodontics here in the US, right?
Or to the US in general?
Well, no, I think that I had a chance that I made it up on myself to, even though I knew English, I had done back home a lot of public speaking, and I was pretty good. I'm an extrovert, so it was easy for me to talk. But I say, you know what? I'm good at talking Spanish. I know grammar, I know English, I can communicate. But you know what? I don't want to communicate at a slow pace. I want to make it just like I do in Spanish. So for that, I think that I need to learn English in an intensive course, but I'm going to go to a place where Spanish is not spoken. I say, I'm not going to Florida because you know that the tendency will be you find people who speak your language and then eventually you're hanging out with them and then the practice. I wanted to do like an intensive thing. And that's my personality. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do the intent. So what challenges did I have? No, the challenges I came to Boston. I was choosing between Madison, Wisconsin and Boston. I feel, but these two places are far north. My mother had gone to school in Washington, D.C. When she heard me saying, you want to go Madison, Wisconsin, she's like, that might be the place for you to fit in. And of course, she didn't say like that. She's very smart as a mother, made me convinced that you can apply maybe to Boston University. Why don't you go to that city and spend a few months? So I came in, I lived with a family, and then I went to school 100%. But then I take my test and I'm not going to advance. And I'm like, that's just going to get me to 3 months. I want to spend here some time. So I did get into the advanced course. Within 3 months, I was me. I was talking, but because I was older, I was hanging out with a lot of the professors, the teachers at the school. So with that, then, of course, they went to a restaurant and I had a chance to interact. What was challenging to me was the fact that I wanted to go faster in speaking, but I couldn't. So it was the first time in my life that I was challenged to something that I couldn't dominate. Dental school, you practice the carving, you get good at it, right? So it was the first time that I was challenged. I was in a place where no one is around to support me. Of course, my family by phone, but then I have to do it on my own. So that was the first thing. And then, of course, that went through. Now, when I went to dental school, and it happens later on, I applied to dental school while in Boston, and then I went back to Venezuela when I received the acceptance letters from multiple schools, and I had to make my choice. So I think within the training of my career, the challenges were that implant education was not that good back home. So I kind of felt like it was, wow, in the knowledge base, what is these implants? And that I knew partials, I knew dentures, I knew crown and bridge. But then this whole world of dental implant, we're talking 2002, all right, it's been a few years. And then, of course, the knowledge of dental, you start realizing that. So, but those are the challenges that I feel that I face.
Do you remember what you had in mind when you came? What were your goals? You're planning just to do postgraduate and then go back home. What was in your mind?
The amazing questions. I had to say, you come. When I came, I wanted to be good at speaking English. I wanted to become a prosthodontist, and I wanted to go back home. I never thought of things, but during that end of that first year when I came here to study English, I met my wife, who was at the beginning of that a teacher at the school. She was not my teacher, but she was in the same English school, and then later on became a friend, and then we dated on her. She had moved to San Francisco, and then at that point we fell in love, and that's, oh my God, I cannot go back now. I'm gonna have to find a way to come here. So that's when in the summer of 2001, I realized, why I apply for the programs, it probably might be better that the two of us end together, So obviously my career was separated at that point for that. But once I got into my program, and then then my wife and I got married in 2004, then it was pretty obvious that I was going to remain here, and I was happy about it. So it's not that I regret anything at all.
So you have to change your path a little bit.
I think in life, you need good mentors. You need good people that give you the strength to pursue something. But you gotta realize that the decisions are yours. But it's okay to change your mind. Like, not everything is written in stone, and not everything is black and white. But of course, I say that from this point of my career, my life, because it's been many years, right?
So do you think that's something that you will tell the, 25, 30-year-old you back in time? Would that be a piece of advice?
So, God, if I tell the 25-year-old me, just do even more. I don't have any regrets. I wouldn't change anything. But one thing that I will do is pursue even more, because that energy still remains in me. It is that you can beat anything and you can accomplish anything you want with respect, with hard work. But I tell you, America in particular is such a great place to do whatever you want in a respectful manner, of course.
Absolutely. That's actually, I love this story. I'm learning so much stuff about you that I thought I knew about you, but now I'm like just exploring all these new facets. And I wonder, from all these experiences and all these decisions, which one was a turning point? Like that decision that you think was probably the most influential to be who you are now? Is there anything that you can point?
One thing, and then there were episodes in my life, a few that I have marked, in which I had to make a decision of representing myself, my integrity, and my values, and make a decision that may actually push me away from what I want, because I needed to make it clear that as a person from another country, I have the same rights and responsibility than any person here. But although these things are not obvious, when you see that, as you pass the beginning of that excitement of coming, the reality settles when you leave here, when you feel that you don't have anywhere else to go but being here. But also, do I make the decision of just following the crowd and do what everyone else is right because it's easy and safe? Or do I challenge the status quo by expressing my opinion in a respectful manner, but also respecting my values and my integrity? And, it happened at a point in my career, and I think, if I recall correctly, this happened in 2009. In 2005, I finished my postdoctoral training. I was already married, and I started teaching. Did I know that I wanted to teach forever? No, I'm now practice and I teach. But obviously, I was damn good at it, because I taught one course and now I'm teaching like 300 million things, right? It's like I'm good at it. So, and I'm good at expressing ideas, right? And I feel like I can read a book and I can repeat it to you, and you will learn from me without reading the book. So that's how I feel that I have that ability, right? And that comes from the family. But most importantly, at some point, my son in 2008 was born, and he had some respiratory issues that we have to deal with, and that may shake my life a little bit with my wife and I. And then I had to change a lot of my schedule to be home. And that did not fit within the schedule of someone telling you that you do what I say and we don't have to adapt to you. And then I have to really respond and say, well, if you are going to be someone that doesn't adapt to also a lifestyle, given the experience that I had and what I gave, then unfortunately, you do what you got to do. I got to go then. And then that was the first time that I marked my position. It's like my value, my expertise, my heart, my dedication needs to be valued among the spaces that I am. And if I have to disrespect my own self and let someone else decide for me, I was going to lose it. Like, I couldn't. So it happened differently throughout life and in other scenes, but it's not as strong at this moment. And again, that was a really defining moment in my career.
That's a very empowering story, Dr. Bendayan. Maybe that will be an obstacle to overcome, if you might. Do you think that was related to the fact that you came from a different country, like your background, or just because you felt that your personality and your goals in your career were just different than most?
I think every aspect is a combination of many things. I think when you are decisive and when you know what you want, it could be scary for others. Also because we come from a different background, we sound different, but we behave on the same rules and all that. Everything applies. That might also be a position to create some lines and limitations. Um, I I swear that I never want to make an assumption that someone makes a decision based on a difference, but it is possible. But honestly speaking, Gabby, I couldn't care less because to me is we are people. If I am from another country and I'm honorable and I'm not respectful, I will deserve exactly my opinion. So it doesn't really matter where you're from. You just have to listen to your heart about it. But you are going to encounter some situations that may cause you to think that is possible. Am I really going to be going out and chase this and prove it? I think there's too much energy spent on this. I just don't really have the time for that. I was spending on the things that make me happy, that make me valuable and feel valued, or that actually take me somewhere.
What would you say are those things that makes you happy, at least now, to the Dr. Bendayan of today? What makes food happiest? What's the happiest with for you?
Well, a happy thought are things like this. Happy thought is to teach. A happy thought is to do dentistry, to help the patients, to repeat over and over a skill set that we're given as dentists, and being able to do it over and over and feel the satisfaction of producing something that helps someone. The treatment of patients, of helping someone, even though they may not be saying thank you always. The fact that you have a power to communicate to a person and also with your hands produce something that could change their life from chewing, from speaking, from smiling. I tell you, but that's on the patient care. On the teaching side is seeing that someone that doesn't know a concept can hear it from me and learn it and see the aha in their eyes. For someone that needs a positive path and inspiration to move forward, even though they might speak to me once, it doesn't matter, but that I have an impact on a person. Because at this point of my career, I'm looking, how can I make others more effective? How can I make others successful? Because I feel that the Alex today, Dr. Bendayan, I continue to be happy, but I'm concentrating more things that make me feel good rather than worrying about what's going to happen later. I'm not so worried about that because anything could happen.
Especially nowadays, we know everything can happen. If you could tell me a little bit more about that turning point in which you started exploring academia as an option for career.
Well, I guess genetics do play a big role in who we have. Because I will have children, and I can tell you, you thought that genetics plays a role in everything we are, but an individual is formed part of genetic, but part of their experiences. But there's a personality. We're three boys. I have two brothers and I have three sisters. So you could tell there's personalities all over. So you cannot make statements that everyone is the same, right? I am middle child, very, very goer, no fear, no challenge. But now at this point of my life, I know what I should do and can do versus what just throwing myself out there. So I think a younger me, would have done even more. So right now, because I'm older and I have that little fear factor of not being successful at something, you kind of measure how far you're going to go versus a younger person will be like, well, doesn't matter. What's the big deal about that? And that lack of fear gives you energy. So for me, my turning point was that 1 year, 6 months before my program ended, and it's funny because I see myself back, and I do it sometimes with administration now. It's like I get bored. I had done my requirement, and I'm like, damn, is this all? The bing, 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 boom, that I did the reconstruction, the crowns, finished my patients. I was very organized because I always done, directing and very organized person. And I feel it did, and this is December, and this is the program. I need to do more. So I remember talking to my program director, Steve Morgano, who is now the chair at for restorative sciences in records. He's a good friend and prosthodontist, of course. And I say, Dr. Morgano, I just bored. I mean, give me more cases. No, we need to have cases for the others, to residents. And you know how it is. You're finishing up you're not going to start a new case in almost at the end of the year. So it's like, Alex, you have helped me a lot, and you're so good with technology, because I did a computer science before then. So it was amazing. You're talking about 2002 to 2005, Gabby. PowerPoint had just started. People were converted their slides. I had done PowerPoint like crazy, Dynamics. I done WebEx. Like, I'm like hardcore with technology. So of course, everyone looks at me like, you know what? The person who was teaching occlusion is leaving in April and all that. Why don't you do some guest lectures with the general dentistry department and teach occlusion, because you're really good at the technology? So they invited me as a guest lecturer. And at the same time, I was also working at the dental health center for free. I just want to practice dentistry. And I started doing that. So those are the two moments that I say, oh my God, I like the practice. Maybe I do this 100%. But somehow the satisfaction of teaching and then running a course, you need to create questions. And so it was like the organizing part of me, like, oh my God, I can have control over something smaller there. And then I started feeling like, oh my God, almost 6 months went by, and graduation was to come. And then Steve just told me, you know what, they're so happy with your teaching. Would you be willing to try it out and teach? We have a position for you right away, because this is like amazing. It's so hard to get a person to teach so well that your reviews from the students, like, they love you. So I'm like, okay, how hard can it be to sell me that one, right? So I'm like, sure, I guess I try it out for a couple of years. If I don't like it, I just jump out. So it was never like, I'm going to be in academia forever. Nothing. I just, I do what I do best. You want me to communicate that? And that was the moment in which I did it for a couple of years. Where am I right now, Gabby? I'm like involved at Boston University. I'm the associate dean, because all those challenges to my life and things that were new, because I get bored, baby. That's a problem. When you do something so well and you do it for a while, then it's like, what are going to be the next challenge? And that's what I'm seeking. What's the next challenge?
But I think that's probably the reason why you have wore so many hats in the dental field, because there is the Alex that is an educator, then there is the administrator, the leader, natural leader and passionate, and there is a prosthodontist that treats the patient. So how do you actually maneuver all those things? Like, how do you really find a balance?
Well, I have to say I am very organized, and I keep good agendas. I keep good notes, a lot of mental notes. I download those notes and I upload them again. So right now I'm doing much because I have administrators that help me, but I am never been like having an administrator do my thing. I'm more teamwork. I like to work with people. And then I think the common denominator here, Gabby, and you say, well, is people. That is my energy. Interacting with people, because I'm a full extrovert. I done leadership courses. I done professional training that taught me to do what I do. But more than just having a natural ability to do it, someone is channeling your abilities into something that you understand. And that's the conscious mind. When you realize, you know what, I'm good with people because these are my traits. These are my driving forces. And then you start to understand how the surroundings, people, yourself, is the real cause of why things click together. I tell you, there's a God, because every time that I'm ready to say, this is it, I'm done, some new opportunities are coming over. I didn't really plan for that. So I talked to God. I was like, do you mean this? Because I don't really know how this happened. And it somehow clicks together, whether or not I connect the pieces or they just happen, or someone else, my dad that now in heaven, is planning it. I have no idea. So
I think that then you'll be continually inspired because you have a lot of things coming your way. I think especially in academia, you have that opportunity for a lot of things happening. What challenges do you think dentistry is going to face, and actually dental education is going to face within the next few years?
Well, I think just when we think that we have challenges, I mean, digital dentistry, and I thought, oh my God, would it be difficult for all these dentists to switch to digital? It's just natural. I think the big challenge that we have is that now technology and information is moving much quicker than academia. And it has nothing to do with age or gender. It has to do with people embracing something in which there was an original fear that digital is bad, because if it's easy and quick for the student, then it's a bad thing. So I feel that the disconnect is that we educators don't understand that our core when we are in education is to teach those new dentists. And eventually we are here today, but we will be getting older. So although we don't see it, we all move. I feel that I don't know if we have realized that we prosthodontists are important, but also we dentists in educating other dentists. I think the practice of dentistry is very good, but I do feel that we all should have a sort of a representation in organized dentistry, whether you do it in the private sector or in organizations locally. There has to be a circle more connected. And I feel we in dentistry sometimes we are not too, we're very nice in groups, but I don't know if we always collaborate with each other.
What do you think a younger dentist can do to help minding that gap? Because there's both a generational gap and a technological gap, right?
That's an amazing question. You're asking an educator. To me, every student resident should be involved in education, one way or the other. Teaching assistant, assisting in a clinic, sitting in a class, even if you're not going to do it for life. The reason is when you have to educate others, you see things in a different way. And I give a very quick example to people who refute this idea. And of course, if people have they can do whatever they wish, right? But don't you teach your personnel in the dental office? So you have to teach a dental assistant. What do you think, that you hire a dental assistant, somehow magically she's going to know everything about you? So I think sometimes we don't realize how critical it is to educate, and we always should. So to me, all this new generation, first get trained in technology and be good. One thing that I will do, that I'm doing now, is get an MBA. Like, if you're going to do dentistry and you don't know how to do business, and business does not mean that it's bad. Like, if you make money, you're a bad dentist. It has nothing to do with that. Just you need to have the tools to manage your business if you're thinking of running a practice. But if my tools have been, my business is education, so therefore I got training in education, so I know that I'm doing the right. But to me, get a good education, but also participate actively in meetings. Participate actively in your knowledge. Make sure that you're part of these organizations. Go to posters, presentations, research. Show your work. No one will know who you are unless you showcase it, like me and many others have done in the community.
That's actually a very good advice. And I think I got that advice from you because you're not only, I consider you a good friend, but I consider you a very special mentor to me. So I think having that extra push of like going out and being exposed a little bit to do things that could be a little bit scary, but that's where the change happens. I think that's where the magic happens. What excites you the most about the future of dentistry, since you're very involved with technology and you're really taking the leap for our profession?
I think, one thing that I see that is going to be great is communication. Communication with the lab, communication with my colleague, communication with my patients, because now these digital tools interconnect information. Before we had to have a radiograph on a record, a piece of paper. Do I understand your handwriting? So now I can visually represent a tomography, something that years ago you have to get it developed or sent to you or read on a DVD. And, it's just the technology tools to convey information were cumbersome. Now it's instant. Now, one drawback of that is that it could be too much information. So I think we have a responsibility to understand how much is too much and then kind of downgrade it and concentrate in the interpersonal relationships. So good communication leads to good collaboration. So if you can do over communication and very little collaboration, which is a promise. So those are the two things that I feel that we have a very good chance on tackling for the new generations of dentists.
Wonderful. What advice would you give to someone that wishes to pursue a career similar to yours, like a little Alex out there?
I think it's fun, it's exciting. Go ahead and do it. It is, dentistry is just one of those professions that, besides other medical professions, allows you to, like I said before, talk to a person, interact, do something with your hands, with your brain, with critical thinking, with common sense, and then cause a positive outcome. How many things in life can you do that? I could drive my car to work every day, and I might have an amazing car, but I'm the only one enjoying it. What impact do they have in other? Well, it's an amazing car or it's an old car. But dentistry is such a profession that allows you to interact. Or if you don't want to interact socially, you have still the impact of causing someone change. And I think if you are thriving for that passion of change or causing an effect on someone, this is the profession for you. Because I will tell you from my family, a medical field, it's just different. You go to the doctor, they check the temperature, they tell you 3 things, and that's it. That's all the interaction. When are you going to see your doctor again? In a year from now? God forbid that you don't go sick, but that's how it works. But dentistry still, the one-on-one, there's a relationship with the dental office, which even with COVID-19 now, we're looking for solutions to make it different, right? We laugh about it. We joke about it with respect, of course, to those who have passed, but with the understanding that even with the worst challenges of that barriers, we are still striving to connect to the patient because we realize that without that connection, dentistry, is not what it is. It is not what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Speaking of the practice and the challenges that we have encountered with private practices nowadays, as a practitioner, as a prosthodontist, when you start practicing, what did you encounter as a big problem? Or is there anything that you think that should be improved or could be improved from the relationship and communication in the practices?
Yeah. So I think obviously you are prosthodontist yourself, and the challenges in prosthodontics specifically have to do with the fact that the awareness of what a prosthodontist is in the United States is not the same of what a prosthodontist is in another country. So you say the word prosthodontist in other countries, it's a specialty, then those are valid there. In the United States, there are a majority of practicing dentists in restorative dentistry are general dentists, probably about 157,000 general dentists versus about 3,400 prosthodontists. So, the challenge, Gabby, is the fact that you have to educate your patient and the community. So how are we going to do that? You think that I can only reach my patients and educate those? Well, that's a very important thing to do. But if you don't get involved in organizational dentistry, American College of Prosthodontics, and your dental school, in your local factors, who do you think is going to be promoting that man? So now when you talked about another surgeon, but everyone knows what another surgeon is. You talk about endodontics. Everyone knows what an endodontist is. You talked about a periodontist, maybe a little bit of, isn't another surgeon better than a periodontist? And then you feel, no, the periodontist specializes in the gums and all that, and then they get it. Pediatric dentistry. Everyone knows that you want the best dentist for your child, right? But it's only when they're a child, not when they're an adult. So I think the challenges, Gabby, have been, do people know who a prosthodontic is? And why is my bridge better than the bridge of the guy next door? And so it only proven by your reputation, by your practice, by the quality of your work, and not necessarily by the cost associated with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that is almost a duty and a responsibility in our field to create awareness. And we do have the National Prosthodontist Awareness Week in the ACP, which is, I think, at the American College of Prosthodontics, a wonderful way of getting involved. But we should be doing that actively daily, not only a week, a year. I think it's very important to extend that awareness everywhere. Thank you so much for those insights. I do want to get it back to the international dentists out there listening to this podcast. I'm hoping to get inspiration, motivation out of something that might seem very challenging or scary for them. What piece of advice would you share with a foreign dentist that is now considering coming to the U.S.?
Well, I say keep your connections with your family. If you're not traveling with a family, I think it's very important to have a support base. So obviously and I think nowadays with airplanes, it's so easy to get anywhere, obviously. But the reality is there are times when you're going to your programs, and then there are times in which everyone goes on a holiday, like Thanksgiving here in the US and Christmas. Oh man, your heart will feel like, I just want to see my family. Make sure you're close to them if you can, or you set up that system that allows you to connect, communicate, share your excitements. Like I say with the residents all the time, you accomplished something. You're going to put it out there, but it's not only an Instagram picture, which we all do, right? It's all about, it is really important you share your accomplishments with those who supported you to be here. And they would always be proud of you, no matter what you do, whether you accomplish what you've done. But I think those are important. And you will build a lot of friends. I have to say my friends are here in the US, just more recently reconnected with my high school class. And I just laugh. I'm seeing those connections. Say, well, do I know who these people are? I only remember what I remember with them. So memories and experiences get recorded in your heart, but they also get recorded in your brain. And those things that will not go away, even though you will have amazing experiences and good connections, your family and those who supported you are so important in that process. You should never forget that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful advice. It actually gets to my heart too, because just doing residency here, I did struggle with that fact as well. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight, and this night of almost fall in Boston feels like. And anything else you would like to share with us?
No, first, Gabby, first of all, again, it's so, when I hear your invitation, as you know me right away, it's like I jump into something that is so much fun. And this is so much fun. I want to celebrate your ideas, celebrate your enthusiasm. I think this is very important for those who will be listening. But most importantly, that you are the perfect example of what dentistry needs, a person like you. Expressing, interviewing, collecting, and bringing information to others. Things that are relevant, not because you need to do it, it's because you understand that this is going to have a value. And for that, I want to congratulate you. And of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I didn't expect that, but that means a lot, especially coming from you and how highly valued you are for me. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And if you want to connect with Dr. Bendayan, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Well, so I'm on Instagram, obviously. Alexander Bendayan is my name. It's very simple. I'm on Facebook too. I have you, if you want to connect by email, normally my BU email, Boston University, my institution is where I connect. Bendayan, my last name, Bendayan at bu.edu. BU for Boston University.edu is normally educational institutions. Most of the institutions in Americas are linked to something like that. But again, please connect and I'd be happy. You know, if you're here into town or you need any advice, my hope is that we can connect in the best way possible. And I appreciate it, Gabby, for inviting me.
Super. I'll make sure to leave all of those contact information in the description box so people can reach out. Well, thank you so much again.